Namaste all. This is Mohammed Humayun N, Faculty of Social Science, and today we are going to discuss one more chapter of Cbse Board 10th Political Science, Democracy and Diversity. So, in this chapter, we are going to discuss the major content and the most expected questions and the most repeated question from this chapter, and that would really helpful and facilitate you people for appearing board examination in the year 2021. So let us go to our content in detail. Democracy and diversity. You have learnt in class 9 about the meaning of democracy, the features of democracy, and advantages and the limitations of democracy. Yes, of course, India is a multi-diverse country and the most diverse country in the world, and how democracy accommodates this diversity you have learnt in previous chapters, power sharing, as well as in federalism. So here we are going to start our lesson with the help of a story. There's a storyboard given there, and that story goes like this. It was a story from Mexico Olympics. You know very well, Mexico Olympics took place in 1968 in Berlin, Germany, right? Okay. So here you can see a statue installed in a university, and this university is called San Jones University, and this is situated in the okay America. And in 2005, this statue was installed, which is 20-foot height. The sculpture representing the protest. You'll be wondering, okay, what protest that too in Olympics game? That too, okay, it's now okay Mexico, so not Germany, Mexico. So what Olympics was that, and why there was a protest, and who are those who are standing? Okay, that too on medal wearing ceremony. That is okay. In that ceremony, what problem they had, and why did they raise the hand and bow their head down and having fist folded, and that too during national anthem played. As we all know that when national anthem is played, obviously we must stand and with due respect we have to accept it. But here it went something wrong. Now let us see what went wrong. Here is the story. The pictures on this page depict an important landmark in the history of the civil rights movement in the United States. As we all know that the civil rights movement was led by Martin Luther King Jr., where the Afro-Americans, so-called the Negroid community, they were ill-treated, they were discriminated by the majority, the whites in America. So that movement was called the civil rights movement. It was the peaceful and non-violence movement. And Martin Luther King Jr. followed Mahatma Gandhiji's ideals of non-violence and peaceful protest. So hence, Martin Luther King Jr. is popularly known as the Gandhi of America. So these represent the medal ceremony of the 200 meters race in the 1968 Mexico Olympic, which was held in the Mexico City, the capital city of Mexico. The two men standing with a clenched fist, upraised and head bowed, their heads are bowed, while the American national anthem was played. These two are the US athletes. One is Thomas Smith and John Carlos. They are African Americans. As I already mentioned, African Americans are the migrants who were brought in the form of a slave trade by the rich business class from America, and they brought as slaves, and they were recruited in various developmental projects, building roads, railways, and they are the descendants of African Americans who were the medal winners in the Mexico Olympic. So they had won the gold and bronze medals respectively. These two were the medal winners, whereas Tom Smith, Thomas Smith, who was a gold medal winner, and John Carlos was a bronze medal winner in the same event of 200 meters race. They received their medals wearing black socks. Black socks symbolizes poverty, no shoes, again representing the black poverty. With this gesture, they try to draw the international attention in an international forum like Olympics. Okay, and this was clear cut, the protest against the racial discrimination which was carried out in the USA. The black gloved and the raised clenched fist, okay, that symbolizes the black power. In the same event, there was a silver medalist, and he is an Australian athlete by name Peter Norman. Peter Norman, he also joined this protest against the racial discrimination, though he was not a citizen of USA. He is from Australia, Peter Norman. He also joined by wearing a human rights badge on his shirt. So that means he is supporting the two Afro Americans during the protest. Now you have to justify yourself and take a little inquiry into it. Do you think that Carlos and Smith should have raised an internal matter like racial discrimination in an international forum like Olympics? Was it justified? Number two, would you say that what did they do? Was it a political? Then why do you think that Peter Norman, neither he is African nor American, joined this movement? If you are in Peter Norman's position, what would you do? Ask yourself. You are a global citizen also, right? So let us take that query and let us move. Here are few key meanings for you. Civil rights movement which took place in 1954, between 1954 and 1968, refers to a set of events and reforms movements aimed at abolishing legal racial discrimination against African Americans, led by Martin Luther King Jr. This movement practiced non-violent methods of civil disobedience against racial discriminatory laws or practices. The term African American refers to Afro American or Black American or the blacks are the terms used to refer mainly to the descendants of the Africans who were brought into America as slaves between 17th and 19th century. The Black Power movement. The Black Power movement emerged in 1966 and lasted till 1975, which was a more militant anti-racist movement. Militant means here violent. They took law into the hand. That is the Black Power movement, where a civil rights movement is a non-violence. Okay. Now, International Olympic Association, when they heard about these gestures, what did they do? What action did they take against those athletes? Okay. Held Peter and Smith guilty of violating international spirit of Olympic game, and by making that internal matter as a political statement, their medals were taken back. Back home, they were subjected to a lot of criticism. When they went back to their country, they did not welcome. They were subjected to humiliation. Peter Norman, who was an Australian athlete, who also joined by wearing a human rights badge, was not included in the Australian team for the next Olympic. He was also given a punishment for taking that issue in international forum, that too which was not belong to Australia. And it happened so that we saw in the first slide where there is a statue installed in the university, right? San Jones or San Jose. So these that was a statue commemorated or installed for to support those two athletes of African Americans who were once a student of that university, and that university installed 20 feet statue of two African Americans in the campus. So this is how they honored them for highlighting the internal issue that is also nowadays international racial discrimination. And it happened so that what a good gesture we saw. It happened so that in 2006, Peter Norman, who died, and Smith and Carlos. See, Carlos belongs to the same nation, but Smith, they were pallbearers in the funeral, right? So this shows that the true spirit of game, or sports. Here is an activity for you in the given textbook. Read and understand that for your self learning. It's the external learning, of subject enrichment. That will help you for having better understanding of the topic which we discussed so far. Now let us see the terms which you will be having in your textbook. Social differences. Okay. So here we are going to learn about a topic called overlapping and cross-cutting social differences. What do you mean by overlap and what do you mean by cross-cut? We will understand with the help of example. The term social difference refers to some division or some social differences in a society that overlap each other. That overlap means, example, the majority may dominate over the minority. So such overlapping uh, system or a concept is called overlapping. Example, in USA, the blacks were relatively poor, they are homeless, and hence they were subjected to a lot of discrimination, racial discrimination. Similar when in India also, where Dalits, they are poor, landless, and socially they were deprived, they were not brought to mainstream. Hence, they subjected to discrimination by the upper classes. So, such type of inhuman practice is called overlap social differences. Now, why do such differences happen? Is it purposefully, or is it natural, or artificial, or just by an accident? Let us try to understand with these following points. Do you agree that all the social differences which are exist in the world is based on accident by birth? Just because we are born, we'll get that such differences by default? No, I don't agree with the point that all social differences are accident by nature. Social difference means difference in a set of people due to their different race, language, or culture. We cannot choose which culture or family to be born in, and as well as the male or female. We don't have that right, right? So it is just by birth a person belongs to a community or a particular religion or a caste. Just because we were born into the family, we start learning the language, we start following the practices, rituals, traditions, or the religion and so on. It's just by accident by birth. At the same time, there are some social differences that person develops through his choice. One may be good at cricket, one may be good at volleyball, one may be good at singing, dancing. These are all the people take in the later part as their choice. So hence, the student or the learner who chooses which religion to follow, what to study, what not to study, what skills need to be inculcate, all such will be by choice in the later part. So hence, we cannot say that all the social differences is just because by nature, by birth. That theory is null and void. So social groups are formed due to the person's own decision, right? If you are good at politics, leadership skill, you'll join school council elections, school, body, where you'll represent yourself, or a school team. That could be football, that could be basketball, that could be whichever the games, swimming and all. That cannot be termed just by accident by birth. So this is the theory of social differences. Now, let us see the concept of cross-cutting. Cross-cutting social differences. What do you mean by cross-cutting? If social differences cross-cut one another, that is, it is difficult to put all the people who are in one group against the other. You would have seen in your classroom. Some may be having interest towards the dance and drawing or swimming or karate or any other game. So he may be good at that. At the same time, he may be good in some other skill also. It means the groups that share common interest on one issue are likely to be the opposite side of on a different issue. We'll take an example. Now, all common interest is to face your board examination. Everybody's common interest in to face your board examination with the high grades. But among the group, one will be interested in science, the other will be the math. Okay, one who is having good interest towards the English may not get the same interest towards math. The other side, okay, opposite side, the different issue where a person may not like. That means the group that share common interest on one issue are likely to be on the opposite. A group of people who are good at math, who likes to do math, okay, problems, okay, that is more likely to opposite for the other subject. That could be English or that could be any other thing. This for your class related one I took example. And now let us see the example that has given in a textbook from Northern Ireland. So in Northern Ireland, class, here class refers to economical class, okay, higher, low and all. So in Northern Ireland, class and religion overlap with each other. A Catholic Christian is more likely to be poor and they suffer discrimination in Ireland. Okay, class and religion overlap. Whereas in the Netherlands, class and religion tend to cross cut each other because numerically both the community, that is Catholics as the Protestants, are almost all same in percentage, and relatively both are poor as well as homeless. Both having okay rich, both also poor, but percentage is almost same, so hence they cross cut each other. The result is that the Catholics and the Protestants have had conflicts in Northern Ireland, but whereas in the Netherlands they cross cut each other. Okay, so this is an example where you will understand with the help of the content given in the textbook. Read that, and these are all just okay the points which help you in knowing the concepts. Now we'll be moving towards the next okay the important factor. Discuss the three factors that determine the outcome of political social division. See, we saw that in a society the social division will be there, and these social divisions based on various aspects, and there are three determinant factors of outcome of political social division. How politically the society will be divided, what could be the result of it, is based on these three factors, which is highly important, the most repeated one for a board exam, 3 marks question. And luckily this year this chapter is not included for your board exam, but it can be assessed for your periodic assessments, internal okay test, unit test, as well as for your subject enrichment activities. So that's why you have to learn this, which is also part of your PA that will be cumulatively collected for your board exam. What are three factors? How people perceive their identities. Okay, we are all citizens, right? And how do we perceive our identity? If people see their identities in a singular and exclusive term, it is become really difficult to accommodate. Suppose I am a citizen of India. If I consider myself that I am a citizen of a particular state, particular region, particular religion, then it's really difficult to accommodate. Similar way, the same thing with you also. If you have your identity as singular and exclusive terms, it is really difficult to accommodate. It is much easier if people see their identities are multiple and are complementary with national identity. For example, if you are a citizen of a country, you are also part of a particular state as well as a particular municipal council or corporation, right? So there also you will be representing, and put together you have multiple identities, right? Citizen of particular city, citizen of particular state, citizen of a nation. These three identities you have. Just I am giving an example. Suppose if we consider only I am okay best in terms of making my city, and I'll not contribute or not take care and not responsible for state or a national level, that is really difficult to accommodate. So people should see their identities as multiple, not singular or exclusive term. As we have seen the case of Sinhala, right? Only Sinhala will be given more prominence, disregarding the others. So that will not maintain the social health. Second one, how political leaders raise the demands of any community. We have so many political leaders. They have come up from various communities, right? Dalits we have from higher class. We have from Brahmins. We have from Muslims. We have from Christians. So various communities are there, and they have their own leaders, their own the political parties and organizations have come up. If they start raising the demand only in terms of accommodating their own particular community, then that will become again an explosive term. It is easier to accommodate demands that are within the constitutional framework and are not at the cost of the other community. Then we can maintain the peace. Try to understand here, any demand raised by any community or community leader, it should be within the legal framework, that is within the constitution of that particular nation. See the example of Sri Lanka here. The demand for only Sinhala was at the cost of the interest and identity of Tamil community in Sri Lanka, and that led to the civil war and a lot of bloodshed. Similar case, we have seen the class 9 in your chapter democratic rights, where you had learnt about the Yugoslavia, okay, where Serbians, okay, the Yugoslavia, the leaders of different ethnic communities presented their demands, which could not be accommodated within a single community, because there are a lot of two other communities were there. That led to the clashes. Point number 3, how government, GOVT, okay, how the government reacts to the demands of different groups. The government, is ruling over different religious groups, ethnic groups, right, social groups, and how the government reacts to the demands raised by the different groups, farmers, teachers, students, okay, sports personalities, okay, so many groups are there, traders, businessmen. The rulers should be are willing to share power and accommodate the reasonable demands of the minority community. Please try to understand reasonable demands, which could be fit into the constitutional framework again. Social threatening of the country. Okay, so the rulers should will or should be willing to share power and accommodate the reasonable demands of the minority community. That is minority community social threatening. If they are neglected, they will bounce back, they will revolt. That's why it's called social threatening. But if they try to suppress such demands, in the case of Sinhala visa, there is a great threat to national unity, and that may lead to disintegration that happened in Yugoslavia, where when they neglected the demands of Yugoslavia, that later turned into 6 different independent countries. Same explanation, continuation of overlapping and cross-cutting. Here we'll study with the help of this social division affects politics. How does social division affects politics? With the help of example. See, combination of politics and social division is very dangerous and explosive. Keep the term in mind. This could be a statement based question for you. HOTS. Combination of politics and social division. If the political leaders try to take the help of social divisions, that could be Dalit, upper class, lower class, or farmer community, industrial workers, railway workers, minorities. So such divisions, if we join in politics, that will become dangerous and explosive. If people start competing in terms of some existing social division, it can make social division into political division. See, understand here, if people start competing in terms of some existing social division, take an example, Dalit. Dalit is the existing social division. If such social division try to compete with others, again it will become a political division also, where people belong to the Dalit social division, they start bringing their own political party, their own association, organization, and they'll try to compete with others who are majority or again a minority of different social group, not like similar like Dalit. So then that will lead to conflicts, okay, and violence will be there, and even disintegration of the country. Example, India and Pakistan. India country was divided based on a similar, okay, division. We have history example, right? So all over the world, you take whichever. You have learned the Lebanon case study. You have learned, okay, the Sri Lankan case study, right? Next example, Northern Ireland, where its population is divided into two major divisions: Christianity, that is Protestants and Roman Catholics, 53 and 44% respectively. Christianity, Protestant 53, Roman Catholics 44%. The Catholics were represented by a national party called Nationalist Party, who demanded that Northern Ireland would be unified with the Republic of Ireland. Okay. Whereas the Protestants, they were represented by a political party called Unionist. They wanted to remain with the UK. Okay, they are all predominantly Protestants. So hence this, okay, led to the tension between the Protestants and the Catholics over the issue of either joining Northern Ireland or UK. That led to the messy, okay, the civil war. In that civil war, hundreds of civilians and the militants were killed. The Unionists and the Nationalists, they had continuous, okay, war, and finally the security forces of UK as well Nationalists, they had Herculean task to suppress it. And finally, 1998, the UK United Kingdom government and Nationalists, they reached with a peaceful pact or a treaty, and they ended the struggle. Okay. And one more example of Yugoslavia. Political competition along with the religious and ethnic group Yugoslavia, that led to disintegration of Yugoslavia into the six independent nations now. So now you understand that how explosive and dangerous it is to combine social division and political divisions. That's why it is rightly said in the previous slide. Combination of politics and social division is very dangerous and explosive. So hence, social divisions affects politics too. Here is an activity. You consider yourself as a student of class 10, and you, okay, mingle with the class other section A, B or something, and if you are having, okay, a party, okay, and whatever the details are given here, please read that and understand how multiple identities you people have at home, at school, in a school, okay, basketball team or coco team, or for your siblings, what role you have, okay, as a citizen of respected nation, what duties and identity you have, for your neighbor, for your cousin, for your sisters, brothers, what identity you carry. Please try to, okay, match with the activity and helpful for your better understanding. Here also a story of Bulgaria, Romania and India. Here is a comparison. These are all the things you can take it for your example, for explanation of your answers for your PA, that is periodic assessments. How Bulgarians, okay, treated, how Romanians, okay, identify themselves, and is it a similar case happening in India? So just find out by this case study. Okay, this is a case study of it, and this is what, okay, the cartoon which is given there. Okay, racism, how does it, okay, black and white in USA carried out, and what is the passion towards, okay, the humanity should be given equal opportunity. And the second one, you can see that in London during the election, okay, and this was, okay, graffiti used, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. That means how they will, okay, discriminate the Irish people, the blacks, they compare to dogs. So in the Belfast, okay, no racism, no prejudice, no bigotry. So this is the, okay, equality, promotion of equality, and that is for discrimination. So read such, okay, graffitis and the cartoons. That's really helpful for you people. I hope this is a small chapter that understood it, okay, about the diversity, how I committed in a democracy with the help of various examples. So thank you very much, okay, and helpful. This video will helpful for your examination.